Hi, this is one of the cheap Chinese Baitcasters that I bought about a year, 2 years ago. I haven't used it very much. Because I've got abus and things that I prefer to use. But this is the what is it? What is the name of the brand? TS Rindya, RINDYA. It's a Trullinoya or something it's called. But obviously with these Chinese reels you're buying them very cheap, as I've said in some of my previous reviews of this, and I've done a review of this reel when I bought it. Unlike the really cheap one that I bought, it hasn't fallen to bits in the pouring rain or making really horrible grinding noises. But as I was taking it apart just to have a look at bearings and clean the bearings, etc, etc. Actually, I haven't put that to soak, that one. I thought I would just show you what's inside this reel. So really interestingly, you've got brass bearing, brass drive shaft, so you'd get that on a more expensive abu. I'm just in the process of cleaning these up. You've only got two drag washers, one thick one that goes down and this one that goes in there, and they're not over. I'm just going to give those a little clean with a bit of lighter fluid. And clean that, so there's absolutely no grease on that. That goes face down. And that goes on there. That, no grease on there, so that goes in there. And then that is the drag basically, so you can see why they haven't got very good drags. But then if you're only paying £23, $25, don't know what the exchange rate is at the moment, not much for us anyway. Good for America, good for Americans to come to the UK, but not so good for us to go to America. I was thinking about going back to New England, where I've got friends. Visit the Bass Pro Shop in Foxborough, one of my favourite destinations. But as you can see, it's pretty much like you would get on your Abu Black Maxes and Silver Maxes. I've never owned Shimano cheap reels, so I don't know what they're like inside, but you can see it's fairly standard stuff. But interestingly, quite good quality brass gears. That all seems to work. Oh, that means I've just got a bid on eBay. I wash out the bearings in lighter fluid. And I put them on these paper towels just to drain the fluid out of them, and of course it dries fairly quickly as well. Evaporates, hopefully not leaving any crap in there. The only downside is that no matter how hard I try, I can't get that little pin out of there. I've used my specially adapted pliers with the hole drilled in, but you have to be pretty careful not to bend that pin or ruin it, because that's obviously the drive pin for the shaft. So let's see how these bearings are now. The one-way bearing just needs a bit of grease on it. This that's running nicely. That's running nicely. And that's running nicely. So they're all pretty good. Right, let's put that back in there. Can't remember which way it goes up. If I put it in the wrong way round, the reel won't work properly. Looks okay. I'll put a bit of grease on that. I've got somewhere a little can of grease for that. Right. So that goes on next. Bugger. This is what you've got to be careful of, losing position on all your stuff. That goes on there. Oh dear. That goes on there. That goes on there. That's on the right way round, so that's good. That goes on there. That's a sort of clicker arrangement for this. I'll screw the screws in first. Short ones go don't do them up too tight. Happy with that screwdriver. 1, 2, All the short ones, long screw goes on the inside, I think. You've always got to be really careful. Hang on, have I forgotten something? Where does that go? I haven't put that in. That's what I've forgotten. Silly me. That was nearly an error. So I'm using TG's Rocket Fuel High Speed Real Oil yellow label, which is general purpose for bearings. I'm not sure what happened to the clickety click there. We'll see. I might put it on wrong. It's not the end of the world. Should be clicking by now. I'll take it off and just have a double check on that. I put that on incorrectly. Doesn't look like it. Yes. Just put it on upside down. Oops. Yeah, last year I went over to New England, stayed just outside Boston, went to the Bass Pro shop, and then a couple of days later drove up to New England, stayed in Peterborough, went fishing on numerous occasions, bit of fly fishing, bit of bass fishing, had a very good time, caught a few fish, and that's still not clicking. Oh, who cares? Oh, there you go. A bit of fly fishing, bit of bass fishing, hired a kayak on a few occasions, and then I went up to stay with some friends in Vermont. Did a lot of bass fishing up there and a bit of fly fishing. Oops, I forgot something. I've bent that out slightly because it's practically flat, so it wasn't actually doing much. And I would like to go back and do a bit more bass fishing, because in the UK we obviously don't have largemouth bass. Why isn't that going on? We don't have largemouth bass, which are a great fun to fish for. We have perch. A very, very good perch would be £4. An exceptional perch would be £5. Record perch would be £6 plus. And if you go over to Europe, you can get them up to £7. It doesn't want to go on there very easily. No, that's cross-threaded. So we have perch, but boy, can you catch largemouth bass. I was fishing perch tactics when I went, so very light. £6. There you go, that's on. £6-ish main line, not main line, sorry, sort of like a point that goes from your main line to your hook. And I was catching loads of bass. Loads of bass. And I even did some fly fishing and caught bluegill on the fly, and might have made a bit of a clanger there, but I'm sure I can get around it. And perch on the fly, which was good fun. And one lake I was getting plagued with pickerel, catching pickerel, which is like our small versions of our pike that you get over here. So lots of teeth and getting bitten off. A little spot of rocket fuel. But yeah, bass fishing was fun. I really want to go back, do a lot more. I've been to Florida and fished the Everglades with a guide. That's weird, that. Fished the Everglades with a guide. Caught lots of bass. I think my biggest bass is about £5, which isn't bad, is it? My biggest perch is just around 4. And biggest pike is £26. But I tend to mainly fish quite light and fish for perch, because I like fishing for perch, and I don't like throwing really big baits, so I do catch pike when I'm perch fishing, and they're great fun on light outfits. Bob's your uncle, there you go, look, it's all back together again. Pardon me. Look at that, all freshly oiled. It's not the most free running reel I've ever known. In fact, it's fairly crap. But when it's been used a bit, that oil will work its magic and it will be a smoother reel for it. Yeah, that reel cost me, I think it was £24. What I've been using it for is very, very light braid, £6. I think it was £6. And I was using it to vertical jig for perch. So £6 braid, £6 fluorocarbon leader to jig heads of anything between, well, we're averaging about 10 grams depending on the weather, movement of boat and all that sort of stuff in fresh water. This is to try and catch perch. Thinner braid means more direct contact, fishing about 30 feet or 10 meters of water. Yeah, so 24 quid, brass gears, brass spool, quite a good magnetic brake system, terrible drag system. You can just pull line off it, no problem. It's not very good at all, really. But if you want one, they're cheap on eBay, and they're probably equivalent of, as I've said before, an Abu Black Max or one of the cheaper brand models that are more expensive. In the UK they're about £70, so in America they'd probably be about $85 for cheap branded Baitcaster. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. See you soon. Leave a comment. Bye bye.